Um, I think now you can see the screen. Can you hear me well? And can you see the screen? Okay, thank you, Thanushan and Kavinder, for your response. Wait, so here the first question of this assignment 2 is a multiple choice question, right? So let me show you the first question. Here in the first question, you have to choose what is, there are 4 relations are given for you, and among them you have to select what is a function, what is not a function. Right, so there are 4 relations, and you have to check what's the relation first, and after that you can determine whether it is a function or not. Right, so you know that there are 4 types of relations: one-to-one, one-to-many, many-to-one, and many-to-many relation. Among them, one-to-one and many-to-one relations becomes functions, and actually many-to-many and one-to-many relations becomes not a function, right? So let me show you. Let me explain this one here, because we do not need to copy these things to the whiteboard. So here you can see these type of questions. First, you have to determine what is the relation in this. What type of relation should be there? So here you can see there is a one-to-many relation, right? Right, in this part A, there is one-to-many relation, and in this one, you have many-to-one relation. In part B, because these -4 and +4 matches to the 16, and as well -3 + 3 matches to this 9 also, right? So in here you can see the 7 plot to the 2 and 9 as well. So we can conclude that this relation is a one-to-many relation. And this is a one-to-one relation, because 3 maps to 11 and 4 maps to 15 here. So it becomes a one-to-one relation. And here you can see all the inputs in all elements in the domain maps with this single element. So it should be a many-to-one relation here. After determining these the types of these relations, you can predict what are the functions and what are not functions, right? So you know that when you have one-to-one or many-to-one relation, it should be a function, right? So many-to-many and one-to-many functions are not functions, right? So here you can say you have to choose what is from these relations which is not a function. So you have to check whether are there any many-to-many or one-to-many functions here. So it should be the answer for this one is A, because it is one-to-many relation. It is not a function, right? Here many-to-one is a function, one-to-one also a function, and this one also a function, because there is the relation one-to-one or many-to-one in these 3 B, C, D answers, right? So the answer for the first one is A. Then we will go for the second part of the first question. yeah, let me clear these things. Yeah. In the second one, you have to given the graph of this function, and you have to determine what is the domain of this function, domain of this relation. So you can see here, it is in the Cartesian plane, right? So definitely the domain should be a subset of real number line, real numbers, right? So you know that here the this one, let me show you here, this one you can see it is -4, right? And this end is +3, and here you have to concern about the brackets of these two ends here. So here the -4 value dot is colored here, that means -4 value should be included in this set. So we have to use square brackets for right left hand side, and here you can see the at 3, right, at x equals 3, the dot is not colored, that means 3 is not included for this domain. So we have to use a normal bracket at the right hand side of this interval notation, right? So the answer for this one is B, right? Is it clear? I'm quickly discuss these things because we have limited time today. So if you have any question, please ask from me. And another thing, our power cut problem, right? If you, I don't know whether there will be a power cut or not, right? If you are, if there will be a power cut today also, please stay in the meeting. I will let you know what will happen later via contacting to Vihanga, right? මම විහංගගේ විහංග through ඔයගලන්ට inform කරන්න මොකද්ද කරන්න කියලා. ඒක නිසා leave වෙන්නේ නැතුව power cut එකක් වුණොත් ඉන්න කියන එක තමයි කිව්වේ, right? Okay, then we'll see the next question here. Third part of this question 1, and it gives you a function that has a constant difference per interval is 4 answers are given: linear, exponential, logarithmic, and none of the above, right? So here what should we it is given that the function has a constant difference. That means you have per interval, that means the slope of this graph should be constant anywhere, right? So it should be a linear equation, because you know that let me draw a linear equation here, linear graph here. So if you have x and y axes like this, and you know that this is taken as x and this is y, right? So you know that the linear graph can be like this, right? So you know that if you take any 2 points with it on this straight line on this linear graph, you can see a constant difference per any interval, right? So here you can see when you take this one here, take these intervals, right? Maybe the intervals ගත්තොත් ඔයගොල්ලෝ දන්නවා මේ interval එක ගත්තත් එතෙන්දී තියෙන difference එක එකයි. That means when you take this difference, this is the y difference, the function difference is this one, and when you take this difference, you have a constant difference for this one also, right? And when you take this one, this interval, you have a constant difference as this, right? So the answer for this one is linear graph, because the per interval you have a constant y difference here, right? So this is the answer for this one. Then we'll go for the next one. Here the graph is given for you, and it is asking the equation of this graph here. right? We are talking about this fourth question. The graph of the function is given here. It is required to find what is the equation of this graph, right? So here you know that it is a linear equation. That means it is a straight line. So it should be y equals mx plus t, mx plus c type of equation for this straight line. So we have some, can get some idea about this gradient and the intercept of this equation, right? අපිට දැන් මේ graph එක දුන්නහම Ushani asking question 3. All right, okay, I will discuss after this one. Ushani is asking to discuss the previous question here. Okay, then here you can see you can identify the intercept of this graph very easily, because intercept means where the point the graph cuts the y-axis. So you can see this is the point where the graph cuts the y-axis. It is -3. So the c of this intercept, or c of this function, should be -3. And by considering some 2 points, you can get the gradient of this linear graph also. Here, gradient, you can get the gradient of this graph also. It is m. So when you are considering these 2 points, මේ වගේ තැනකදී cut වෙන points දෙකක් ගන්න. එතකොට අපිට මේවා ගන්න lazy. So you know that the slope means the y difference. Here I use delta y for the difference of these. That means we are taking the difference of the y coordinates of these 2 points. We are calling it as delta y, and this is the delta x of this function. That means the difference between the 2 x points of these 2 points. So it here the delta y becomes 1, right? You have to take the -3 -2, right? So you can take this one as -3 -2. So it is 1, and you have to take the delta x here, right? You have to take the delta x here as 4, right? So you can see here the gradient of this graph is 1/4 here. So you can take the answer as y equals 1/4 x -3 is the answer for this one, right? Okay, then you can here this one, you have to take -2. There was a mistake, right? You have to take the value as -3 -2 -3. So it should be the 1, because you have to take, you know that the coordinates of this point is 4, -2, and the coordinate of this point is 0, -3. So you have to take the difference between these 2 points as -2 -3, and the difference between these 2 points you have to take 4 -0. That's how we take these delta x and delta y here, right? Give me 1 second. Someone drop a text. Yes, I can't see your name, Pita. Yes, I can upload the, I think the last week's recordings also uploaded by Gaya Madam yesterday. So this one will be uploaded here, because he or she is telling that there is a network issue. Yes, you can. Sometimes these things are very common issues in this online mode. Please bear these difficulties, because we have nothing to do for this one, because we have very here severe pandemic situation in our country. So not in our country, in all world we have to face this pandemic. So you have to bear these difficulties in online mode, right? And I am extremely sorry. I have nothing to do for this one. And here, let me clear these things. So the answer for this one is B, y equals 1/4 x minus 3. And someone asked me to discuss the previous question again. I think it's question 3. Here, a function that has a constant difference per interval. Here, constant difference per interval means you have to consider per interval means the one interval in x-axis, and it is given that per one interval there should be some constant difference in the graph in y-axis, right? Then let me show you the හතරෙන් තියෙන ප්‍රශ්නේ graph එක ගත්තත් ඔයගලන්ට ඒක අවබෝධ කරගන්න පුළුවන්. එහෙම නැත්නම් අපි කියවොත් මේ විදිහට graph එකක් ඇඳලා this is x and this is y, right? And we can draw the line here. අපි මේ විදිහට line එක ඇඳුත් එහෙම give me 1 second here. -1 +1 2 3 4 මේ විදිහට තියෙද්දි per interval means this small unit in the x-axis. So for this interval you have to take the increment in the y-axis here, right? So you know that this is the interval for this one, right? So you have to take this delta y as the increment here. Then may delta x අදාළ increment එක තමයි මේ delta y කියන්නේ. මේ function එකේ y අක්ෂය දිගේ වැඩි වීම කොච්චරක්ද කියන එක. Here constant difference per interval is telling like that, right? So when you take this difference here, අපි මේ interval එක ගත්තොත්, here we will take this one as delta x2, right? So you can get this is the interval, and you can get this delta y2 difference for this one also. That means you have this delta y1 and the delta y2 is same always. කොතෙන්දි බැලුවත් මේ graph එකේ මේ එක interval එකකට අදාළ y වැඩි වීම සමානයි. ඒක තමයි මෙතෙන්දි කියන්නේ. But when you take exponential graph, අපි exponential graph එකක් ගත්තයි කියමුකෝ. You can draw exponential graph like this. අපි හිතමු e to the power x graph එක යන්න කියලා අපි. Right. This is y. This is x, right? So when we take the e to the power x graph, right? Let me show you it in a mathway graph, right? If you want to, let me show you oops, give me 1 second. I will show how to behave this exponential and logarithmic graph also. Yeah, you can use this one for your things also, right? ඔගොල්ලෝ මම හිතන්නේ මැඩම්ත් මේක කියන්න ඇති mathway කියලා තියෙන මේව එකක් application එකක්. So you can draw any graph by using this mathway. Let me give me 1 second to open this file. It is online application, so you all can access for this one and draw any graph by using this one. when you are Google search by Mathway graph, then you can access for this one, right? Let me share the screen. Here, when you are Google search as Mathway graph, it is this one is the graphing calculator Mathway. You should select this one, and then you can go to the Mathway graph and you can input any equation of a function. Then you can get the graph of this one. So y equals, I will give the e to the power x here, right? E to the power x. You have to input the graph like this, e to the power x. So here you can see this is the graph of the e to the power x. E to the power x graph එක තමයි ඔයගලන්ට මේකෙන් පෙන්නන්නේ. එතකොට ඔයගලන්ට පේනවා ඇති මේ එක interval එකකට y වැඩි වීම සමාන නැහැ. So when you are taking this one, these two, අපි මේ interval එක ගමු, right? So when you take this interval, එකේ ඉඳන් දෙක වෙනකන් interval එක ගත්තොත් එහෙම ඒකේ y වැඩි වීම වෙන්නේ මෙන්න මෙච්චරක්, right? So take this one as delta y1 for this delta x1, right? And when you take this interval delta x2 කියලා අපි මේ interval එක ගත්තොත් බිඳුවේ ඉඳන් එක වෙනකන්, right? So you have to consider this interval, and this is the increment for this interval. මේ delta x2 කියන interval එකට අදාළ y ගේ වැඩිවීම වෙන්නේ මෙන්න මේ ටික delta y2. So you can see here delta y1 and delta y2 is not same. That's why we are taking there should not be a constant difference between these two delta y and delta x per interval. එතකොට අපි අර linear graph එකේදී ඕනම points දෙකක් ඕනම interval එකක් සැලකුවොත් ඒගොල්ලන්ගේ y ගේ වැඩිවීම සමානයි. ඒක තමයි මේ කියන්නේ. So this is a exponential graph, e to the power x graph. So we'll see if you have a graph like log graph. The third solution for this one is log graph. අපි log graph එක plot කරලා බලමු. ඒකෙදිත් එන්නේ මේ වගේම එකක් තමයි. So when you take ln x, right, like this, so you can see this is the ln x graph, right? May ln x graph එක මේක. So when you are taking these two points here, අපි ගත්තොත් එහෙම මෙන්න මේ delta x1 කියලා මේ interval එක. So this is the delta y1 for this interval. අපි මේ interval එකේදී y වැඩිවීම පෙන්නන්නේ මෙන්න මේ මෙච්චර ප්‍රමාණයක්. Right? So when you are taking these two intervals from 4 to 5, right, taking this one as delta x2, for this interval the delta y becomes this one, delta y2. That means you have to consider the difference for each interval. So you can see this delta y1 and delta y2 is not same, right? එතකොට එන්නේ ඒක තමයි අපි මෙතෙන්දි මේ කියන්නේ අර common difference එකක් නැහැ කියන එක කියන්නේ මේ දේ තමයි. right? එතකොට ඔයගලන්ට පේනවා ඇති මේ එකකවත් අර linear graph වල වගේ හැම interval එකටම අදාළ y ගේ වැඩිවීම සමාන වෙන්නේ නැහැ. right? එතකොට linear graph එකේ එහෙම නෙමෙයි y ගේ වැඩිවීම සමාන වෙනවා. Okay, I think it's clear for you. Okay, then this one is very easy. If you are in your examination, you can't use this one because you have no you can use in online exams, but in physical exams you can't use this one. But when you are trying to sort out some problems in assignments or all other things, you can use this Mathway graph for you, right? So then when we can go for our next question here. let me show you the next question. This one is, this is the final question. Consider the relation r equals 1, 2, 2, 3, and minus 1, 3. Which of the following statements about this relation r is false? So you have to consider these statements and check whether what are the correct and wrong statements here. And here, this is the relation R. It is 1, 2, 2, 3, and minus 1, 3. So here you have to take, first statement is R is not a function because the output tree is repeated. Right? Okay. Then before finding the solutions for this one, we will plot the graph of this. We will draw the mapping diagram of this relation here. Let me share the screen. Here, our relation is, give me 1 second. It is, this is our 5th question. Our relation is R equals 1, 2. Someone unmute the mic. Please mute your mic. 2, 3, minus 1, 3. Right? So this is the relation. So when you are drawing a mapping diagram for this one, you can see this is domain and this is range, or you can use codomain. So it is the domain elements of the domain is 1, 2, and minus 1. So we can write minus 1, 1, and 2. So the outputs becomes 2, 3 here. So 2 and 3 is the elements in the codomain. So it maps here 1 to 2. That means 1 and 2 should be mapped, and 2, 3. That means 2 to 3 should be mapped like this, and minus 1 to 3 should be like this. Is the mapping diagram for this relation. Right, so our first thing is, it is given that R is not our first statement in the question. It is given that part A, R is not a function because the R in the output tree is repeated. But it doesn't matter because you can see here it is a many to one relationship. Right? It's a many to one relation. Minus 1 and 2 or both elements are mapped to this tree. So it becomes a many to one relation. You know that many to one relation means it is a function. So you can see this is the false statement of this one. This one is a function. So the statement is not correct. This is the wrong statement in this question, but it doesn't matter. We will see what are the other things, other solutions of these question as well. එතකොට ඔයගලන්ට මේකේ answer එක වෙන්නේ මේ A එක. මොකද අපි අහන්නේ false statement එක මොකක්ද කියලා. ඒකෙදි අපිට ගන්න වෙන්නේ මේ A කියන එක තමයි answer එක විදිහට. But we will see what are the things that they are getting here as B, C, D. So in the B, it is given as R is subset of product of the product between the sets. Some two sets are given as minus 1, 0, 1, 2, 3, and 2, 3, 4 as your domain. So what do you think about this one? What is in the question? What is this saying about this one? ඔයගලන්ට කියනවා මේ දීලා තියෙන sets දෙකක් A දෙක අතර තියෙන products. That means you can take some pairs from these two sets by multiplying each elements in these two sets, right? You can make products, right? එතකොට මේකෙදි A in a pairs වලින් pairs ටික pairs ටිකේ subset එකක් වෙනවා කියලා කියන්නේ මේ R. First we will see what are the pairs that we can taken by the multiplying these two sets, right? එතකොට අපි බලමු මොනවාද මේ sets දෙක දීලා තියෙන sets දෙක තමයි. So here you have given two sets as minus 1, 0, 1, 0, minus 3, 1, 2, 3, no? Okay. 1, 2, 3. And other set is 2, 3, and 4. So these are, how should we take the two sets here? We have to consider the multiplication of these two sets. So first you have to take the first element of this one, this set, that means minus 1. Minus 1, it maps to the first element in this set, it is 2. And the second one, you have to map this minus 1 to this 2. That means first element of the second question and the second set. And then you have to map this minus 1 to second element of this set. It is minus 1, 3. And after that, you have to map the first element for the third element of this second set. So it is minus 1 to 4. Right? Please mute your mics. It is a obstacle for me to describe. So these are the first pairs that we can use, that we can gain by the first element of this set, right? Then we'll see what are the other pairs. That means we have to take this second element of this first one, and you have to take the multiplication of these two. So 0, 2, you know how to get the pairs of this one. So then 0 to 3 and 0 to 4. That's the way how we take the pairs of these product of two sets, right? And after that, you have to go for the 1, the next element of this set, and 1, 2, 1, 3, and 1, 4 are the next sets here, right? And when you take these 2, you can write the pairs as 2, 2, 2, 3, and 2, 4 as well. And getting the last element of this one, 3, you can write the pairs as 3, 2, 3, 3, and 3, 4. These are the pairs that we can take by the product of these two sets, right? So here it is given that our given relation is a subset of this one. So this is the given relation. So please see whether these pairs are in this set of pairs. මෙන්න මේ pairs වල අපේ මේ relation එකේව තියෙනවද කියලා බලන්න. Right? So it is 1, 2, it is there, right? First element of our relation. And the next one is 2, 3, it is also there. And minus 1, 3, it is also there. So you can end up conclude that our relation R is a subset of this product pairs of this product of these two sets. එතකොට අපි මේකේ දිකලේ මුලින්ම මේ sets දෙක use කරලා ඒකේ product එක සලකුවොත් ගන්න පුළුවන් ඔක්කොම pairs ටික ලියලා බැලුවා. ඒකේ අඩංගු වෙනවද කියලා බැලුවා. අපේ relation එකේ තියෙන pairs තුන අඩංගු නම් අපිට කියත හැකි ඒක subset එකක් වෙනවා කියලා. So this part B statement is correct in this question. And we see the second one. Dinusha, you can no, the steps are not needed for the MCQs. You have just select the correct answer, right? එතකොට මම මේ ටික explain කරන්නේ ඔයගලන්ට මේ ටික එන්නේ කොහොමද කියලා විස්තර කරන්න ඕන නිසා නැතුව ඔයගලන්ට just you have to take the pick up the solution, correct solution for this MCQs, right? Okay, our first question is over. We are going to discuss the second question of this assignment. Our MCQs are over now. And the second question, it is given that the two functions are given for you, f and g. Here, fx is 3x plus 2 and gx is 6 over 2x plus 3. as the first part, you have to find the value of x for which f of gx equals to 3. You know that it is a composite function. Composite functions කියලා ඔයගොල්ලෝ ඉගෙනගෙන ඇති. අපි මේ විදිහට කියනවා නම් function එකක් ඇතුලේ තව function එකක් තියෙනවා නම් අපි ඒකට කියනවා composite functions කියලා නේද? So we'll see how to get this composite function equals to 3 and the appropriate answer for x for this first part. Okay, then let me share the whiteboard. There is a part C and D in the first question, previous question, no? Api previous question එකේ තව දෙකක් ඉතුරු වුණා නේද? Actually, I forgot it. I'm sorry. Here, the domain of the relation is -1, 1, and 2. Right? The domain, that means the domain means the elements in the domain here. So -1, 1, and 2 is the elements in the domain. So it is correct. And the fourth part D of the this question is R is a relation, R is a function. So we have concluded in the part A, it is a function because there is a many-to-one relation here. So the answer for this one, in this question, it is asking the false information here. So part A is the answer for this one. Right, then we are going to discuss the second question. Our second question, it is given f and g functions here. Our fx function is 3x plus 2 and gx function is given as 6 over 2x plus 3. Here the domain is also given here. The domain for this fx function is real numbers, and the domain for this one is real numbers except -1.5. -1.5 නැතුව අනිත් සියලුම real numbers මේකේ domain එක වෙනවා. මේ f ගෙනම් real numbers ටික විතරයි domain එක වෙන්නේ. So it is in the part 1, it is given as f of gx equals to 3. Right? So here you have to substitute your gx function where the x in the fx function. fx function එකේ x තියෙන හැම තැනටම මෙයාගේ gx function එක substitute කරන්න ඕනේ. ඒක තමයි අපි composite function එකක් කියලා කියන්නේ. So when we take in this fx function, you know that 3x plus 2 is fx function. So here 3 according to instead of this x, we have to substitute this gx function here. So gx function is 6 over 2x plus 3 plus 2, because you have to take the fx function here. So this is 3x plus 2 equals to 3. Then you have to solve this one here. You can take this 2 to the right hand side as a -2. So it becomes 3 into 6 over 2x plus 3 equals to 1, because we can take this one as -2. 3 minus 2 becomes 1 here. And we can take this one, we can simplify this one, 3 and 6 here as a multiplication. 18 equals 2x plus 3. So we can conclude that 2x equals 15 and x equals 7.5. Or you can take you can keep the answer as 15 over 2 as well. Right? So here in the next question, let me show you the next question here, part 2 of this question too. Sketch in a single diagram the graph of fx and f dash x. Here you have to consider this fx function and the inverse function of this fx function. Here you have to sketch these graphs in a one graph sheet, but here it is not given. You no need to take the calculation of x f inverse x here. ඔයගලන්ට graph එක දුන්නාම f inverse x graph එක sketch කරන්න පුළුවන් වෙන්න ඕනේ, because you must know the relationship between the function and the inverse function in the graph sheet, on the graph sheet. So we'll see how should it taken here. Let me share the whiteboard. Our fx function is 3x plus 2, right? So here no need to calculate f dash x. What is f dash x is? මම කියන්නේ මෙතන fx කියන එක 3x plus 2 කියලා අපි දන්නවා. ඒකෙදි if අපිට f inverse x algebraically මෙතන calculate කරන්න පුළුවන්. එහෙම calculate කරන්න නැතුව කොහොමද graph එක අඳින්නේ කියලා කිව්වොත් let me draw the two axes here, right? So this is x and this is y here. So this is x-axis and this is y-axis. When you draw this fx graph, you know that intercept of this one is 2, and you have to you can draw the graph here like this, right? අපිට 3x plus 2 graph එක plot කරන්න පුළුවන්. ඒක plot කරන විදිය මම ආයිත් කියන්න යන්නේ නැහැ. මොකද ඒක ඔයගොල්ලෝ දන්නවා straight line එකක කොහොමද graph එක එන්න ඕනි කියලා. So here you can see this is not in the range, right? In the for the scale මේක අර scale එකට මඳින එකක් නෙමෙයි. ඒක නිසා පොඩි වෙනස්කම් වෙන්න පුළුවන්. Here let me draw the graph again, right? එතකොට මේකේදී අපි දන්නවා x අක්ෂය y අක්ෂය කැපෙන්නේ දෙකේදී ඒ වගේම x අක්ෂය කැපෙන තැන අපිට හොයාගන්න පුළුවන් මේ ෆන්ක්ෂන් එකේ බිඳුවට සමාන කළා. So -2/3 should be the point where the graph cuts the x-axis here. So you can draw the graph of this one like this. අපිට මේ වගේ තමයි graph එක අඳින්නේ වෙන්නේ. මොකද here the graph cuts the x-axis at 2, and here the graph cuts the y-axis at -2/3. Right, so this is the function of f. This is the graph of function fx, right? So when you are drawing the two graphs fx and f inverse x in one sheet, you must mention what is fx and f inverse x clearly. Otherwise I don't know what is the your fx function and f inverse x function. So you should mark these two fx or f inverse x clearly. And after you taking the after you drawing this fx function, you know that inverse function of this graph can be taken by the image by considering there is a mirror in this y equals x line. Y equals x line එක කියලා කියන්නේ මොකක්ද? මේ හරහා යන මෙන්න මේ වගේ රේඛාවක්, right? So that means මේක this is the we are calling this is y equals x line, right? So your inverse function is a image. මේකේ ප්‍රතිබිම්බයක් වගේ තමයි මේක අපි mirror එකක් කියලා හිතුවොත්, right? When you take this y equals x line as a mirror, the image of this fx line denotes the f inverse x here. So you can draw the graph of this one as like this. අපිට මේ විදිහට අඳින්න පුළුවන් f inverse x graph එක. You know that we can draw this graph as this because it can be like this, because you know that it should be cuts the x-axis here at 2, and this one should be -2/3. So you can see this is a f inverse x graph. So when you draw the fx graph, the y equals x line works as a mirror, and image of this fx graph becomes a f inverse x graph. So you have to know this relationship when you are drawing your inverse graph of some function, right? So that's the way how we plot the fx and f inverse x graph in one paper in the for the second question, right? And we'll see the next question. -2/3 directly. Yasira is asking how get this one, darling. මෙතන -2/3 ගත්තේ පුතා. Here we can this point, right? This one denotes the point where the graph cuts the y-axis. The graph cuts the y-axis means the y coordinate of this point is 0, right? So we make our y coordinate 0 and takes 3x plus 2 and take the value for this one as x over -2/3. Here, since it is a mirror image, is f inverse x is, so this should be -2/3 as well. And here, this is the graph cuts the y-axis at 2. The f inverse x graph cuts the x-axis at 2. Right? These are the some relationship between the image of this fx function. Right? Then, okay. Coordinates, I found coordinates for the graph. Is it correct? All right. Yeah, it doesn't matter. So කෙනෙක් අහලා තිනවා දැන් coordinates use කරලා ඒක අනිත් පැත්ත අරගෙන එහෙම ගත්තත් කමක් නැති කියලා. It doesn't matter. If you know do not know this method, sometimes you can take some points in the fx graph like this. ඔයගලන්ට එහෙමත් ගන්න පුළුවන්. Thank you for reminding this one here. You can take this point as 0,2, this point as -2/3, like this, and you can convert the inverse of these coordinates like -2/3, sorry, 0, -2/3. So the inverse function එකේ coordinates එන්නෝනේ මේ අපේ පළවෙනි coordinate එක මේක කියලා සැලකුවොත් inverse function එකේ coordinate එක දෙන්න ඕනේ මේකේ අනිත් පැත්ත නේද 0, -2/3. Here when we take this second coordinate as 0,2, our inverse function coordinates should be 2,0. That's why we are taking these 2 points as well. Then by joining these two or more, you can take some 2 or more points for we can draw a straight line by using 2 points, but when you are finding the inverse function, at least use 3 points for finding the inverse function, right? එතකොට ඔයගොල්ලෝ fx graph එක ඇඳලා ඒකේ යම් කිසි points 3ක් use කරලා මේ වගේ අනිත් පැත්ත හරවලා f inverse x function එක ඇඳත් ප්‍රශ්නයක් නැහැ, right? නැත්නම් ඔයගොල්ලන්ට කෙලින්ම මේ විදිහට y equals x line එක mirror එකක් විදිහට ක්‍රියාත්මක වෙනවා කියලා හිතලා යාගේ image එක ඇඳත් ප්‍රශ්නයක් නැහැ, right? So when you are when you are drawing these two fx and f inverse x functions, please mark some common points. විශේෂ මේ වගේ points තියෙනවානේ, these 2 points ඒ වගේ ඒවා ලකුණු කරනවා නම් හොඳයි, right? Okay, then we'll see the next one, next question of this. Let me share. So here you have to express each of f inverse x and g inverse x and solve the equation f inverse x equals g inverse x here. Okay, now you have up to the second point you have deal with graph, right? In the third question, sorry, it is asked to express this f inverse x and g inverse x in algebraically, right? එතකොට අපි මෙච්චර වෙලා graph එක තමයි මේ දේවල් කතා කළේ. අපිට දැන් කියනවා algebraically f inverse x and g inverse x අරගෙන ඒ දෙක සමාන වෙන x coordinates හොයන්න කියලා, right? So here you have to take, you know that fx function is 3x plus 2. So that's, you know that how to get the inverse function of this one. Here you have to make this one as y equals 3x plus 2. Then you have to subject x here. අපි කරන්නේ x උත්ත කරනවා මේ y සමානයි 3x ධන 2 කියන අපේ f function එකේදී. Right, so when you are subject 3x for here, so it should be y minus 2, and when you take x here, 1 over 3 y minus 2 over 3 should be comes. So your f inverse x function is, then you can replace these x instead of y. So 1/3 x minus 2 over 3. This is the graph. This is the equation of f inverse x. And when we take gx function, it is 6 over 2x plus 3. The same process should be followed here. Right, so you make this gx function as y, and you here also you have to subject x here, right? So 6 over y, we interchange these two points, and 2x equals 6 over y minus 3, right? So x can be written as 3 over y minus 3 over 2. This is the g inverse x function. Now you can substitute x instead of this y, so you can take this one as 3 over x minus 3 over 2. So this is the function g inverse x, right? So after that you have to make these two functions equal, because it is given in the question. You have to take f inverse x equals g inverse x in the function. So f inverse x is 1/3 x minus 2 over 3, 1/3 x minus 2 over 3, and our gx function is 3 over x minus 3 over 2, 3 over x minus 3 over 2. Here you have to take all x terms together and all constant in one side. So we can take this one as x over 3 minus 3 over x equals 2 over 3 minus 3 over 2 here. So when you are simplifying this one, you can take simplify this one by taking a common denominator for this one. So it can be simplified as 4 minus 9, right? In this one, the common factor for this one, common denominator is 3x. So you can simplify this one as x squared minus 9. So we can simplify this one as minus 5 over 6 equals to x squared minus 9 over 3x. I explained all the steps here, but sometimes you can skip these steps, right? මම ඔක්කොම ලියලා පෙන්නන ඔයගලන්ට explain කරන්න ඕනි නිසා එහෙම නැතුව මේ සමහර steps skip කළාට ප්‍රශ්නයක් නැහැ, right? So we can simplify this one as 6 into or we can simplify this one as 3 into 2. So sorry, this one 3 into 2. So we can simplify this one as 2x squared minus 9 equals to minus 5x here. So we can take this one as 2x squared minus 18 equals minus 5x. So we can end up with the quadratic equation of x here, 2x squared plus 5x minus 18 equals 0. So by using calculator or by using the formula or by factorizing, you can use any of these three methods and you can get some two solutions for this x here. So it's there. I'm going to factorize this one here, 2x and x. You have to make you have to select two numbers for these two by given the multiplication as minus 36 and the summation as plus 5. So we can select 9 we can select 9 over minus 4 as this one, because it gives the summation multiplication gives minus 36, and the summation gives as 5 here. So we can take this one as 2, then it comes 4x minus 4x, and this one should be 9. So we can end up with two solutions here. X equals minus 9 over 2, or x equals 2, right? By considering these two, we can make these two expressions separately equal to 0, and you can get these two solutions here, right? So this is the solution for our third part of this second question, and we'll see someone drop the text. Yes, Tanushan, you can use the calculator and directly put the answers for this one, right? And let me share the third question of this one. Here the function f is defined by fx equals, this third question is very easy. Fx equals ax plus b, for the domain is given as the real number line, and where a and b is constants. If is given that in the question there are two data for you, f2 is equals to 1 and f5 is equals to 7. Right, so in the first question, you have to set up pair of simultaneous equations using the given information. And after solving these two simultaneous equations, you can find a and b. And after that, at the third part, you have to solve this composite function f of fx equals to 0. Okay, we'll see how to solve this one. And this is our third question. It is given that our fx function as ax plus b, and also they have given us two data. That one is f2 equals 1 and f5 equals 7. Right, so f2 equals 1 means when x equals 2, our y fx equals 1. That means you can substitute x as 2 and fx as 1 here, right? So fx is 1, and for substituting this one, you can take 2a plus b. This is our first equation, first simultaneous equation. And here, when you are considering this one, fx f5 equals 2, here you have to consider when x equals 5, our function value fx is 7. So you have to substitute for this one here. 7 equals 5a plus b. This is our second equation. So this is the first part. That means you have to build these two simultaneous equations by using given information. And after that, you can solve at the second part, you have to solve these two simultaneous equations and find the values for a and b. So you can see here, we can eliminate this one to solve simultaneous equations. You know that there are two methods. We can use eliminate method or substitution method. So here, I think it's better to use eliminate method, because there is plus b, and in both equations b are same. So I think by subtracting 1 from our equation 2, we can eliminate our b variable very easily. So we can simplify this one as 5a minus 2b gives you 3a equals 7 minus 1, it is 6. So a equals 2 here. And once you find the variable, you can substitute this variable a for one of these two equations. So let me substitute for equation 1. So 1 plus 2a, a is 2 plus b. So it is 1 equals 4 plus b. So b is minus 3 here. So you can write the fx function now because you know a and b values here. So we can write our fx function as fx equals 2x plus b plus b. Here it should be minus 3, right? So this is our fx function, right? Then we are in the third part of this question. It is asking to solve this one. In the third part of this question, it is given that f of fx equals to 3. You know that our fx function is 2x minus 3, right? So here you have to take the f of fx. That means for each and everywhere where the x is, you have to substitute fx function again for this x. Here you know that our function is 2x minus 3. For instead of x, you have to substitute 2x minus 3 again. So 2x minus 3 should be equals to 0. This should be equals to 0, right? I'm sorry. Here it should be 0, right? So you have to simplify this solve this equation now. So it should be 4x minus 6 minus 3 equals to 0. So 4x minus 9 equals to 0 and x equals 9 over 4. You can keep the answer like this fraction, or you can keep the answer as a decimal value as 2.25, right? So this is the answer for this one, right? Then let me show you the next question of our assignment. Fourth question. It is given, it is something different question, right? ඔයගලන්ට සාමාන්‍යයෙන් ටිකක් අලුත් වර්ගයේ question එකක් වෙන්න ඇති මේක. Here 5 graphs are given as well as 5 equations are given also, right? You have to match which equation should be matched with the each graph. ඔයගලන්ට මේ දීලා තියෙන equations උත් එක්ක match කරන්න තමයි තියෙන්නේ, right? එතකොට අපි බලමු මේ එකින් එක. මුලින්ම මෙන්න මේ විදිහේ graph ටිකක් තමයි තියෙන්නේ. අපිට කිසිම අදහසක් එන්නේ නැහැ මේ graph ටික බැලුවාම, but we can see one by one. We can look at the equations one by one and we can get some idea by using. Actually it's better to check the domain of these functions. ඒකෙන් තමයි මේක ගොඩක්ම හොයාගන්න ලේසිම මට හිතෙන විදිහට. So we'll see what can we conclude about these equations, right? So here the first one is y equals 2 minus x squared, right? So you can what are the things that you can say about this first equation? You can say it is a quadratic equation. අපිට කියන්න පුළුවන් ඒක වර්ගජ සමී වර්ගජ ශ්‍රිතයක්, right? ඊළඟට අපිට කියන්න පුළුවන් ඒකේ උපරිමයක් තියෙනවා because it has a negative coefficient in front of the x square term. X square term එකත් එක්ක negative coefficient එකක් තියෙන්නේ -1 නේ මේකේ coefficient එක. එතකොට අපිට මේක කියන්න පුළුවන් it should be a quadratic function, right? Quadratic function with a maximum point. Right? And if you you know that we have some idea about the quadratic function here. When you take this x and y axes, right? X, y axes කියලා ගත්තොත්, right? This is x and y. You can see this is the way how we draw the y equals minus x square graph. මෙහෙමනේ අපි minus x square graph එක අඳින්නේ. So what the thing happened to this our first part of this equation? The quadratic function y equals minus x square is shifted by 2 units to the upper side. මොකද මේ function එකට වෙලා තියෙන්නේ. I think in your lecture note you have learned these cases. කොහොමද මේ graph shift වුණාම වෙන්නේ කියන එක ඔයගොල්ලෝ දැනටමත් ඉගෙනගෙන තියෙනවා. මෙතෙන්දීත් ඔයගොල්ලන්ට පේනවා ඇති මේ y සමානයි -x square කියන graph එක දෙකකින් උඩට shift වෙන එක තමයි මෙතෙන්දී වෙන්නේ. Right, so when you are taking this y equals 2 minus x square means you have to shift this y equals minus x square graph by 2 units. That means it should be the y equals minus x square graph cuts the x-axis at y-axis at 0, and the relating graph, that means you have to shift these. The same graph should be shift to the by 2 points to the upper side, then you can get the y equals 2 minus x square graph like this. එතකොට මේක shape එක වෙනස් වෙන්නේ නැහැ. මගේ කියනම් මේ shape එක වෙනස් වෙලා තියෙනවා. ඒක මම අඳිද්දි වෙච්ච ප්‍රශ්නයක්. එහෙම shape එක වෙනස් වෙන්නේ නැහැ. කෙලින්ම ඒ y minus x square graph එකම units දෙකකින් උඩට යන එක තමයි shift වෙන එක තමයි මේකෙදි වෙන්නේ. So here you can by using this one you can select some graph by 5 of these graph. එතකොට අපිට පේනවා මෙන්න මේ graph D එක තමයි ඒකට suit වෙන්නේ. මොකද අපිට idea එකක් තියෙනවා quadratic graph ගැන. එතකොට ඒ use කරලා අපිට කියත හැකි මේ equation 1 එක තමයි මේ graph D එකට suit වෙන්නේ කියලා. Right? And when you take this y equals x to the power 1/4, එතකොට මේ දෙවෙනි graph එක තමයි x to the power 1/4 කියන එක. අපි ඒක පොඩ්ඩක් තියමු. මොකද අපිට ලොකු idea එකක් නැහැ ඒ graph එක ගැන. අපි දන්න ටික මුලින්ම sort out කරලා බලමු. මේ වගේ ප්‍රශ්නයකදී දැන් අපිට ඔයගලන්ට match කරන්නනේ තියෙන්නේ මේ graph ටික. එතකොට අපි දන්න ටික මුලින්ම match කරගෙන ඉමු. ඊට පස්සේ ඉතුරු වෙන ඒවාත් එක බලන්න තමයි තියෙන්නේ, right? So we will keep the second equation aside, right? So and take this third one, y equals 2 sin x, right? You know that how to behave this sine graph. Sine graph behave වෙන්නේ කොහොමද කියලා ඔයගොල්ලෝ දන්නවා. ඒක මේ වගේ curve එකක් තමයි යන්නේ. So when we using if there is you have some shiftment of the sine graph also. ඔයගලන්ට sine graph වලත් එක එක විදිහට මේක වෙනස් වෙන්න පුළුවන්. This is the main sine graph. Y equals sin x කියන එක තමයි sin x ගේ main graph එක වෙන්නේ. So when you take the y equals 2 sin x, that means the distance of this graph should be doubled. අපේ මේ දැන් sin x graph එක මෙහෙම නම් තියෙන්නේ. මේ sin 2x කියන graph එක ඇන්දොත් ඒක අපිට මේ විදිහට distance එක double වෙච්ච graph එකක් තමයි එන්නේ, right? And when you can make this you can change the angle of this sine function also by taking 2x or x over 2. ඒ වගේ දෙක ඒ විදිහට වෙනස් කරන්න පුළුවන්. එතකොට මොකද වෙන්නේ? මේ sine graph එකේ period එක වෙනස් වෙන එක තමයි වෙන්නේ. Right? So I think these things you have known these things in the lecture, right? Let me show you this one by using Mathway, right? මම ඒක ඔයගලන්ට sine graph එකේ වෙනස් වීම කරලා පෙන්නන්නම් Mathway graph එකෙන්. So here you can see, can you see the browser screen now? Mathway screen එක පේනව නේද ඔයගලන්ට දැන්?
We can see.
Okay, thank you Kaindu. Here, give me 1 second. Oops. So when we enter y equals sin x, this is the y equals sin x graph, right? Make tamai මේ needle part in පෙන්නන්නේ sin x graph එක. So you can see this is the we are calling this is the period. So 2 5 is the period of this. ඔයගලන්ට පේනවා ඇති මෙන්න මේ අර wave pattern එක complete වෙන තැන තමයි අපි කියන්නේ period එක කියලා. So you have to take some similar points in this similar points දෙකක් ගන්න ඕනි wave pattern මේකෙදි period එක බලන්න. So you can see 2-5 is the period of this sine graph, and when we plot the same graph sheet, y equals 2 sin x අපි plot කළොත් y equals 2 sin x you can see what happened here. The sine graph එකට මොකද්ද වෙලා තියෙන්නේ? එයාගේ මේ විස්තරය නැත්නම් අපි කියන distance එක කියලා. Right? Distance is double. You know that sine graph always sine graph in between -1 and +1. -1 සහ +1 අතර තමයි sine graph එක හැමතිස්සෙම vibrate වෙන්නේ. So here when you take sine 2 sin x, that means you have doubled your distance here. May distance එක double වෙන එක තමයි වෙන්නේ. And when you take the y equals sine 2x, අපි sine අපි හැමතිස්සෙම මේ sine ට කලින් මේ sine function එක ඇතුලේ කෝණය මෙතන x කියන්නේ ඇත්තටම කෝණයක්නේ නේද? sine graph වල අපි යන්නේ කෝණත් එක්ක නේද? එතකොට මේ පිටින් කරන වෙනස් වීමේදී වැඩි වෙන්නේ මේ මෙයාගේ distance එක. And when you make changes to the angle inside this 2x inside this sine function, then then see what happened to this one. This purple color graph show you the y, this one, right? මේ graph එකේදී පෙන්නන්නේ දැන් මේ purple color graph එක sine 2x graph එක. එතකොට මොකක්ද වෙලා තියෙන්නේ? මේ sin x කියන graph එක මම මේක delete කරන්නම්. එතකොට ඔයගොල්ලන්ට පැහැදිලිව තේයි. Let me here this one. මොකද වෙලා තියෙන්නේ? මේ sin x graph එක හැකිලිලා නේද? හැකිලිලා වගේ දෙයක් තමයි වෙන්නේ. කියන්නේ මෙයාගේ period එක වෙන්නේ sin 2x graph එකේ period එක වෙන්නේ 5. sin x graph එකේ period එක වුණේ මොකද්ද? 2-5. right? එතකොට ඔයගොල්ලන්ට පේනවා මේ නිල් පාට blue color graph එක යන්නේ sin x, purple color graph එක යන්නේ sin 2x. අපි බලමු sin x over 2 අපි ඇතුලේ කෝණය දෙකෙන් බෙදලා ගත්තොත් y equals sin x over 2. You can enter any function for this math way graph, right? ඒක තමයි ඒකේ හොඳම දේ. දැන් ඔයගොල්ලන්ට පේනවා ඇති මේ කහ පාටින් පෙන්නන්නේ. I am not deleting here. So when you are dividing your angle inside of this sine function, so the function should be expand වීමක් තමයි වෙන්නේ. අර මෙයාගේ wave pattern එකට කිසිම ප්‍රශ්නයක් වෙන්නේ නැහැ. නමුත් අර එයාගේ period එක වෙනස් වෙනවා. Here the period of this sin x over 2 function, මේ sin x over 2 function එක ගත්තොත් එයාගේ period එක වෙලා තියෙන්නේ 4-5 නේද? එතකොට ඒ විදිහට තමයි වෙනස් වෙන්නේ. එතකොට ඔයගලන්ට ඕනම් මේක මම delete කරන්නම්. දැන් මේ තියෙන්නේ sin x wave එක අපේ usual graph එක blue color එකෙන් තියෙන. එතකොට ඒක අර expand වීමක් තමයි වෙන්නේ. අර අපේ මේ ඇතුලේ කෝණය වැඩි කරන්න sine graph එක මෙහෙම හැකිලෙනවා. ඇතුලේ කෝණය අඩු කරන්න. ඒ කියන්නේ බෙදෙන්න graph එක මෙහෙම අර ඇදෙනවා වගේ එකක් තමයි වෙන්නේ. So you have to memorize these things, right? අපිට exam එකේදී ඔයගොල්ලෝ ඒව මතක තියාගන්න ඕනේ. ඒවෙන් ප්‍රශ්න එනවා. Yeah, minus sin x. Someone asked how to get the minus sin x. Yes. You can enter as minus sin x and you can get the graph, right? So let me delete this one. This is the minus sin x graph. That means you have to take the totally different here. let me erase this one. This is the minus sine x graph, and you have take the inverse. Actually, it's like the not inverse. එතකොට ඒකේ මර නිකන් අනිත් පැත්ත වගේ එන graph එක තමයි sin x වෙන්නේ. So you can use mathway graph and you can test all these graph, right? ඔයගලන්ට ඕන cos x tan x ඒ හැම එකම මේකත් එක්ක check කරලා බලන්න පුළුවන් කොහොමද ඒ වෙනස් වීම. මේ දැන් ඔයගලන්ට මෙතෙන්දී තියෙන ප්‍රධානම දේ තමයි. So let me share the screen. මම assignment එක පෙන්නන්නම්. Here you have to take so now you can see this is the sine graph because there are no any graph like this vibrating wave එකක් විදිහට තියෙන graph එක තමයි මේ graph E එක. So there are no any trigonometric graph trigonometric equations in these 5. So you have to match this sin x with the graph E, right? So this is graph E and this is graph D. Now we have sort out these two graphs. අපි දැන් මේ දෙක තෝරගෙන ඉවරයි, D and E. So you have to consider only this ABC graph with these 3 equations, right? එතකොට අපි බලමු. Let me clear this one. Here we know that this one is okay now. This one is also okay. You have to consider this second, fourth, and fifth equations with the ABC graph, right? So when you're taking this one, fourth one, right? You can see what's the domain of this one. You can see at x equals 0, this function is not defined. Right? So can you see, are there any graph of this one where x is not defined at 0? x සමානයි බිඳුවේදී define වෙන්නේ නැති graph එක තෝරගත්තා නම් අපිට පුළුවන් ඒක y සමානයි 2 බෙදීම 3x කියලා කියන්න. මොකද මේ graph අපිට පුරුදු graph නෙමෙයි නේද? පුරුදු functions නෙමෙයිනේ අපිට මේව දැන් straight line එකක් නම් y සමානයි 3x ධන 2 ඊළඟට quadratic graph එකක් නම් ඒ වගේව අපිට සාමාන්‍ය එදිනදා අපි use කරන graph. නමුත් මේ වගේවා log functions මේ වගේ graph අපි use කරන්නේ නැහැ. එතකොට ඇත්තටම අපි ඒකේ functions දැනන් ඉන්න විදිහ ඒකේ graphs අපි දැනන් ඉන්න විදිහක් නැහැ. Right? So you can match these graphs by using the knowledge that you have about the graphs of some graph and domains, range, these things, you know that. So here also the point that you can get the answer for this fourth equation, you have to select a graph where the domain is equals to x in R but not included 0. 0 අයිති වෙන්නේ නැති 0 වලදී define වෙන්නේ නැති graph එකක් හොයාගන්න පුළුවන්. එතකොට ඔයගලන්ට පේනවා ඇති මේ හැම එකම මේ දෙක 0 වලදී define වෙනවා. But here this graph A is not defined at x equals 0. මේ x equals 0 වලදී define වෙන්නේ නැති graph එක වෙන්නේ A. So you can conclude that this one y equals 2 over 3x should be graph A. Right? එතකොට මේක වෙනවා graph D එක, මේක වෙනවා graph E එක, and this is graph A. And there are another 2 equations for us, the second one and the fifth one. Right? So here you have to take when you take this one, let me erase these things here. අපි මේ second equation එක සැලකුවොත් ඒකේ අපිට කියන්නේ y equals x to the power 1/4, or you can write this one as in this way. අපිට මෙහෙම square root 4 කියලා අරගෙන මෙහෙම ලියන්න පුළුවන්. ඒ y equals x to the power 1/4 කියන එක අපිට ලියන්න පුළුවන් ඒක විදිහට. And here you can see when you apply some negative value for this one, what happened here? Is it defined? අපි මම දැන් tutorial 2 එකේ මේ වගේ ප්‍රශ්නයක් දාලා තියෙනවා ඔයගලන්ට next day අපි ඒක discuss කරමු. So you know that if you find some domain when you may not have some idea about the graph of this y equals x to the power 1/4 equation, but you have some idea about the domain of this y equals x to the power 1/4 equation. අපිට මේ equation එකේ ප්‍රස්ථාරය ඔයගොල්ලෝ දාන්න නැති වෙන්න පුළුවන්. නමුත් අපිට යම්කිසි දෙයක් කියන්න පුළුවන් මෙයාගේ domain එක ගැන. මොකද අපි දන්නවා domain එක කියන්නේ මොකද්ද? How the x values x variable behaves in the graph. අපි domain එක කියන්නේ අපේ x variable එක කොහොමද හැසිරෙන්නේ කියන එක. Right? So if you can't here, can you substitute some negative value for this x? Square root එකක් ඇතුලේ negative value එකක් අපි ගන්නෙ නෑනේ නේද? So the domain of this function should be positive. X should be greater than or equal 0. Then ඔයගලන්ට -1 කැල් එකෙන් ඕනනම් ගහලා බලන්න -1 to the power 1/4 කියන එක ඔයගොල්ලෝ කැල් එකෙන් ගැහුවොත් ඔයගලන්ට එන්නේ error එකක්. Right? ඒ කියන්නේ negative values වල මේ වගේ 1/4 එකක් සැලකන්නේ නැහැ. Right? That means negative value එකක එනවා අසංඛ්‍යාවක් ඒක real number එකක් නෙමෙයි. It is a complex number. දැන් ඔයගොල්ලෝ -1 ගේ square root එක උනත් ඔයගොල්ලෝ ගන්න නෑනේ. square root එක ගන්න. දැන් මෙතන නම් 4th root එකනේ අපි අරන් තියෙන්නේ. So when you consider this square root -1, we are taking in your mathematics stream course, you are learning these things. -1 to square root -1 equals I. This is I means the complex numbers. Right? So here, when you are substituting negative values for x, it does not define because it does not define in real number line. Real number line එකේ මේ x के negative numbers defined වෙන්නේ නැහැ. So the domain should be the positive real numbers. Right? So we can write the domain as 0 infinity. That means x අපේ මෙයාගේ x වෙන්න ඕනේ සියලුම ධන real numbers විතරයි. Right? So by this one also we have now matched with this fourth one, and by these two graphs you have to select what is the graph which has positive domain. Positive domain එකක් තියෙන graph එක මොකක්ද කියලා බැලුවොත් ඔයගලන්ට පේනවා මෙන්න මේක graph B එක තමයි x. මොකද ඔයගලන්ට මේ x negative values වලදී මෙන්න මේ values වලදී මේ graph එක ඇඳලා නැහැ. Right? That means the x is in negative x values, the function is not defined. That's why it is drawing our function like this. අපේ x ගේ positive values වලට විතරයි මේ graph එක ඇඳලා තියෙන්නේ. So you can see, you can take that our graph B should be matched with this one. Right? එතකොට graph B එක තමයි match වෙන්නේ. එතකොට remaining graph C එක match වෙනවා මේ y equals to 2 to the power 0.5x. Here this is an exponential equation. Make an exponential equation එක මොකද x තියෙන්නේ බලයක් විදිහට. In all these types we have x, our variable x as a base. අපේ පාදයේ විදිහට තමයි අනිත් හැම වෙලාවකදීම x තියෙන්නේ. එතකොට x යම් කිසි equation එකක මේ විදිහට බලයක් විදිහට තියෙනවා නම් අපි කියනවා ඒක exponential equation එකක් කියලා. So we have to consider some bases and some logarithmic equations, and you have to use some log equations to solve these type of exponential equations, because you know that the relationship between the exponential and logarithmics also. So here you have to take, this is the you have some it is work to memorize what can be happen when that means කොහොමද ELX log x වගේ ඒ වගේ පොඩක් අර සාමාන්‍යයෙන් main තියෙන functions වල graph මතක තියාගන්න එක වටිනවා. මොකද මේ වගේ එකක් කරන්න ගියාම ටිකක් ඒ වගේ දේවල් ඕනි වෙනවා. So you know that ex graph එක කොහොමද එන්නේ, e to the power x graph එක, log x graph එක කොහොමද එන්නේ කියන එක, ඊළඟට square root x graph එක කොහොමද එන්නේ, ඒ දේවල් පොඩක් මතක තියාගන්න. ඒව සාමාන්‍යයෙන් graph ගැන කතා කරද්දී වැදගත් වෙනවා. Right, okay, then this is the end of the fourth question in the assignment 2, and we will see the fifth one. From these two equations we can wind up this tutorial session. So we'll see the first equation. You have to solve these two equations. First one is log equation and the second one is a exponential equation. So we'll see how to solve this log equation first, right? Let me share the whiteboard here. And this is our fifth question and part 1. It is given that ln x plus 2 equals 2 plus ln x, right? So solving some equation means we are finding the value for our variable. Here our variable x, so we have to get some value for this x. මේක solve කරනවා කියලා කියන්නේ සමීකරණයක් විසඳනවා කියලා කියන්නේ අපි ඒ අදාළ variable එකට යම්කිසි අගයක් හොයන එක. නේ? So to solve this equation, that means to find some value for this x, we have to take all x terms together to one side, right? So here we can take this x plus 2, this ln x for this side, because we have to take all x terms together and it is equals to 2. And you know that there is some law in logarithmic functions, right? Like this. After law එකක් තියෙනවා, if there is a term like ln a minus ln b, right? So we can write this one as ln a divide b. අපිට මේ විදිහේ law එකක් තියෙනවා log වලදී. අඩු කිරීමක් විදිහට තියෙනවා නම් අපිට ඒක බෙදීමක් විදිහට ලියන්න පුළුවන් කියලා. So you have to consider this law here, x plus 2 divided by x equals to 2. So here you know that when you are using ln, that means the base is equals to e. Right? එතකොට මේ log වලදී අපි log කියන එක නිකන් ලිව්වොත් base එකක් නැතුව අපි සාමාන්‍ය log term එකක් ලියනකොට එයාගේ base එක මෙන්න මෙතන පොඩියට දානවා, right? So when you have writing this one as log 2x means this is the base, right? If the base is not written here, අපි base එකක් ලියලා නැත්නම් යම්කිසි log term එකකදී ඒක අපි සලකන්නේ base එක 10යි කියලා. Or it is we are writing this one as lg also. lg කියලා ලියනවා, නැත්නම් මේ base එකක් නැතුව log කියලා ලියලා මේ විදිහට මේකෙන් කියන්නේ base එක 10යි කියලා. මේ terms තුනම එක විදිහට තමයි අපි use කරන්නේ. And these are some special cases, and when you are use ln, that means base of this one is e, right? So you have the ability to convert some log functions into exponential form as well as exponential forms into log also. ඔයගොල්ලන්ට පුළුවන් වෙන්න ඕනේ log form එකේ තියෙන යම්කිසි equation එකක් exponential form එකට convert කරන්නත්, exponential form එකේ තියෙන equation එකක් log වලට convert කරන්නත් පුළුවන්කම තියෙන්න ඕනේ. So you can see here our variable x is inside a ln function. ln function එක ඇතුලේ තමයි අපේ variable එක තියෙන්නේ. So what the thing we have to do, we have to eliminate this ln function from this equation. අපි ln function එක මේකෙන් අයින් කරන්න ඕනේ. මොකද අපේ variable එක හොයන එකනේ අපේ මේකේ ආරමුණ. So we have to eliminate this ln function for this one. So that means you have to convert this one to exponential form, right? So I will take a very small example. You know that we can write this one 2 to the power 5 is 32. This is exponential form. That how we write this one. The same thing we can write like this, log 2 to the power 32 equals 5. The same thing we have written by these two ways. This is exponential form and this is log form. So here our equation is in ln form. You have to convert this one to exponential form. So here you can write this one, our equation, like x plus 2 divided by x equals to e to the power 2. අපිට මේ විදිහට ලියන්න පුළුවන්. මොකද අපේ log එක අපිට ලියන්න පුළුවන් දැන් log term එකක් මේ විදිහට තියෙන අපේ equation එකේ අපිට තියෙන්නේ මෙන්න මේ විදිහට. right? log form එකෙන් තමයි තියෙන්නේ. අපි ඒක exponential form එකට convert කරද්දී මුලින්ම අපි ලියන්නේ මෙයාගේ base එක. right? Base is 2 here. That's why we are taking like 2 to the power. And the answer in the log form should be the power of this exponential form. And the inside function of this log form should be the next side of this exponential form. That's the way how we convert this ln form. Here, this 32 is like the x plus 2 over x. X plus 2 over x කියන term එක හරියට මේකේ 32 වගේ. ඒ වගේම අපි දන්නවා මෙතන ln කියලා use කරද්දී මෙයාගේ base එක වෙන්නේ e. So that's why we use base e here. And here you know that the 5 is taken like in the log form. The answer 5 is the power of this one. That's why we are taking this 2 as the power. So that's the way how we convert this log form into the exponential form. Right? එතකොට දැන් අපේ x තියෙන්නේ නිකන් variable එකක් විදිහට. So you can solve this one further like this, because you know that e means there is a value for e. So e square, we can take the value for e square by using the calculator. It is 7.3891, right? And x plus 2 equals x. And you can simplify this one as x equals 7.30. We will take this one as the 7.39 because for simplification, convenience for simplify, and x plus, sorry, x. And here our left hand side is x plus 2, right? X plus 2 equals 7.39, x equals to x plus 2. So we can take this x into right hand side, like 2 equals 6.39x, because we have to subtract 1 from this 7.39, and we can find the value for x by dividing 2 by 6.39. So the value for x is 0.313, like this value. You can round off the value for 2 or 3 decimal places as you are will. Right, so this is the answer for this one, and we will quickly go to the last question here. The third part of this question, there is a exponential equation ex to the power 3 to the power x minus x2. Right, here you can see the x, our variable, is as the exponent. මේ බලයක් විදිහට තමයි තියෙන්නේ. So you have to use ln for this function. අපි දෙපැත්තටම ln apply කරමු. So when you are using ln for this one, so it is ln 3 to the power x minus 2. So there is a law in logarithmic, like if you have ln x to the power n, you can write this one as n ln x. That means you can take this n value in front of this one and write as n ln x. So that's the rule that we have used to use in this step here. You can take this x in front of this one and write this one as x ln e equals to x minus 2 ln 3. Right, so here ln e is equals to 1, so we can conclude that ln 3 x minus 2 like this. And there is a value for ln 3. You can take the value by the calculator. It is 1.0986 x minus 2 equals to x. So you can simplify by removing brackets in this one, 1.0986x minus 7.1972 x. So we can take x to the right hand side, and you can take this 2.1972 to the left hand side. So it can be concluded that 0986 x equals to 2.1972. So you can take x value by dividing this one 2.1972 by 0.0986. So the value for this x is 22.28. Right? Summary of the text that we can keep. Yeah, you can keep the answer in E form. Yeah. ඊගෙන් උත්තර තියන්නත් පුළුවන්. නමුත් මෙතෙන්දී you have to solve like this because there is no way to solve this one, and there is no E terms are using here. අපිට මෙතෙන්දී පුළුවන් E term ඔයා කියන්නේ මෙතෙන්දී වෙන්නේ නැති පුතා. Here you can keep the answer like not simplifying like 7.3891. අපි E square වෙනුවට මං කැලලකින් සුළු කළා 7.3891 දාලා සුළු කළා. එහෙම නැතුව මෙතන E square කියන එක constant එකම තියාගෙන සුළු කරන්නත් පුළුවන් මේ විදිහට. Right, I'm right here. This one, x plus 2 over 2 equals E square. You can simplify this one as x plus 2e square, and x equals 2e square minus 2. So the answer, when you are simplifying E by the calculator, you can end up with the same answer here, right? So this one is also correct. 2.20 is so overall. That means we are rounding off one. Yeah, it doesn't matter, right? Then someone, Dr. Ushani, oh, I can't see your name. Yeah, Ushani, I think. Last question means this one. That means ex to the power, right? I will discuss this one. It is 9:50. You have the lecture, Gaia Madam's lecture at 10, no? Okay, I will quickly discuss this one as the request of Ushani. The last question is e to the power x equals 3x minus 2. Right? So here you have to apply ln log for both sides. So we are applying ln ex and ln 3x minus 2. ඔයගලන්ට කෙලින්ම මෙතන ඕනනම් මේක x කියලාම ගන්න පුළුවන්. මොකද අපි දන්නවා ln ගේ බේස් එක වෙන්නේ e. So ln e to the x means this is the x, and if you want you can write the way that I have written here by using the log rules, right? මෙතන log rule එකක් තියෙනවා ln x to the power n or a to the power n මොකක් හරි තියෙනවා නම් මේ power එකක් තියෙනවා නම් ln function එක ඇතුලේ you can write this one as the n ln x. මේ n කියන එක නාව ඉස්සරහට අරන් ලියන්න පුළුවන්. So here also we can write this one as x ln e equals the power of this one is x minus 2. So you can take this x minus 2 in front of this one as and write as ln 3. Right? So here x ln e, here ln e is 1. You can take this value by the calculator. කැලලකින් ගන්න පුළුවන් මේ value එක ln e කියන්නේ 1යි කියලා. So x equals, you have some value for ln 3 also. It can be also taken by the calculator. So don't keep ln values in the answer because it can be simplified. You know that there is a value for ln functions. So we can take ln 3 value as 1.0986. You can round off to the 3 or 4 decimal places, and you can simplify this one as 1.0986x. We are simplifying brackets here. අපි මේ 1.09යි මේ x වැඩි කළා ඒ වගේම 2 වැඩි කරන්නත් ඕනේ. So when you are simplifying 2 into 1 minus 0.986, so you end up with 2.1972. So it is here left hand side you have x, and the thing you have I am doing here, I am taking this x for this way. So it we have 1.0986x here, and we take this x here, and we taken this 2 minus 2.1972 to left hand side, so it becomes plus 2.1972. So by simplifying, you know that the coefficient of this one is 1, so you have to subtract 1 from this coefficient, so it gives you 0.0986x equals to 2.1972, and you can take the value of x by dividing this 2.1972 by 0.0986. So the x value is 22.28 like this, right? Okay, then I think it's time to wind up. Right. We are right. We know Rio. Okay. That means since this is irrational, Madam said to keep the answers in ln and exponential form, ek form again. All right. Then it doesn't matter. You can keep this one. Yes, I forget it because it is irrational. So it's better to keep in ln form. So you can write this one also. මෙතනින් ලියන්නම් ඒක ln form එකෙන් තියන්නේ කොහොමද කියලා. So here you can simplify this one as x equals ln 3x minus ln 3 2 ln 3, and here you can write this one as x minus ln 3 x equals minus 2 ln 3, and x equals minus 2 ln 3 divided by 1 minus ln 3. So the same answer comes when you are simplifying this one by using the calculator ln 3, right? So it doesn't matter. I will ask from the madam and mark your assignments, right? Madam ගෙන් අහලා ඒක කොහොමද ලකුණු දෙන්නේ කියලා අපි ඒක mark කරන්න. So if you madam say it like this, so no issue, you can keep the answer like in ln or e form as well, right? Okay, thank you very much. Yes, Aja, I have no access to upload recordings to LMS, so I'm sending to Gaia Madam this recording, and she will upload to the LMS, right? Someone asked a question, how to, Anushka, you are asking that how to get the value for e to the power e square. Anushka, ඔයා අහන්නේ ඒකද e square value එක ගන්න කොහොමද කියලා. All right, okay. Here you can use the calculator, and I think you have, let me check this one here. right? අපි මේ විදිහට තිබ්බොත් ඕගලන්ට පේනවා ඇති මෙතන shift alpha කියලා බටන් එකක් තියෙනවා මේ උඩම තියෙන බටන් එක. එතන කැල් එකේ ලියලා තියෙනවා alpha කියලා. ඕගලන්ට පේනවා ඇති. So you have to press this alpha and press this button. That means මේ තියෙන 10 බලයක් විදියට තියෙන බටන් එක තමයි. එතනත් ඔයගලන්ට කැල් එකේ ලියලා තියෙනවා පේනවා ඇති රතු පාටින් E කියලා. So when you press this one, the E is appear here, and after that you can press this square button, then it appear like E square here. So you can press equal mark after this one, you can get the value for 7 point like this value for the E square. as well. Right, okay, then I think it's time to wind up my tutorial session for today because you have the lecture at 10:15. And thank you very much for attending today's tutorial, and we will meet next week by tutorial 2. Right, and thank you very much and take care. Stay safe. We will meet next week. You all are welcome. Okay, you all are welcome. I am ending the meeting now.